As we continue to cover the war between Israel and Hamas, we're going to take a couple of minutes to look more closely at the humanitarian crisis inside Gaza. This is video showing the urgent scramble for food in northern Gaza. This is happening near where more than 100 Palestinians were reportedly killed last week in a chaotic incident involving a stampede and Israeli troops. People in these crowds say they waited for hours yesterday in hopes of getting something to take back to their families. Chris Brown has been reporting on this humanitarian angle for us for CBC News, and there have been warnings, Chris. I should say Chris is live with us from London, and I'm delighted to have you back with us today. And we've been hearing these warnings about starvation and famine in Gaza almost every day now, the latest coming in from the World Health Organization that children are now dying of starvation. And there is the declaration, Chris, but then to see the pictures, the images can be very graphic and very disturbing, but it's part of the reality of what we're covering these days, isn't it?
It is. You know, Israel is not letting international journalists into Gaza, Heather. So CBC News, like other broadcasters, have to rely on very brave freelance Palestinian videographers to capture these images that you're seeing. Our videographer visited several locations, including a maternal health clinic in Deir al-Balah and a hospital in Rafah. And we also obtained footage from the Kamal Adwan Hospital, which is in northern Gaza. And that is where we have seen the first reported deaths of malnourished children. The health ministry there says 15 children have so far died, but groups that we've spoken to, such as Oxfam and UNICEF, say 100% of the children in Gaza now are not getting enough food to eat. At that clinic for pregnant mums I mentioned, the doctor there told us that more than 20% of the women are dangerously malnourished. Many people are eating just one meal a day, sometimes out of a can when flour shipments can't get through. These anecdotal reports, as you mentioned, are now being validated by the World Health Organization. And today it said malnutrition in northern Gaza was particularly extreme, that 1 in 3 children under the age of 2 are acutely malnourished. Outside of Israel, there appears to be a growing consensus, which now includes senior U.S. leaders, that the only way to alleviate this is an immediate ceasefire, followed by a mass influx of aid trucks. But the news out of Cairo today on that point is not good. The talks appear to have stalled. Reuters is reporting that Israel wants a list of its hostages to be released, and Hamas is saying it can only do an assessment and provide that once the ceasefire kicks in. Israel skipped the last day of those talks, so right now it really is unclear where things stand with that key marker on the calendar, Ramadan beginning on Sunday, and that was really, Heather, supposed to be some kind of an artificial deadline.
Chris, getting food aid into Gaza is increasingly a contentious issue, and what I've been relating the mornings are Israel blames Hamas for stealing some of the aid and blames the UN for distribution problems. Many people outside the country, though, are accusing Israel of using hunger as a weapon and deliberately holding up food deliveries. So as you look at both of those arguments, take us through what supports sort of both sides and what you're seeing out there.
Well, Oxfam Canada is one of the groups saying that Israel should and could be doing much more if it wanted to, but it is using the phrase starvation as a weapon of war. They're saying this is collective punishment for the October 7th attacks. U.S. officials certainly aren't going anywhere near that far in their rhetoric, but their tone has also changed, definitely sharpened. White House officials are describing the situation for hunger in Gaza right now as intolerable. Right now, aid is primarily getting through in southern crossings in Rafah and Karim Shalom. Aid groups complain that Israel is checking everything and often turns away trucks, even if, for example, for one thing, if they determine something like a pipe could be used as a weapon by Hamas. There's also the issue of far-right Israeli protesters. They've been stopping trucks before they can get into Gaza. A White House spokesman suggested also far-right members of Israel's cabinet are also stalling the delivery of aid. The State Department said it's pushing Israel to open up a crossing point to the north, where the hunger, as we've said, is very acute. And that way trucks don't have to go follow a route up through Gaza where there's heavy fighting. Also been discussions about having a maritime entryway, but there is no port in Gaza large enough to deal with big ships. So we really are at a very early stage of these discussions, and we'll have to see exactly how they play out, Heather, and just how much pressure the international community brings to bear on Israel to do more.